This forum as a conversation mechanism is designed not only as an educational medium, basically for me to tell these stories, like telling stories about food, and for people to understand that telling stories is a wonderful medium. And then, of course, we can take those snippets and we can put them into various videos and so on. But the whole idea is to bring a community of people together that makes this possible, but something that's dynamic and it's happening as a conversation. And I think it's great to have websites and then connect with one person and another, but not everyone has that time as well. So I think this has so much potential that if we keep on doing it, what we'll start to do is we'll end up with too many people in the room. So then what we'll do is we'll turn it into more of like a TED Talks thing, where the main speaker is going to have like 20 minutes or something, and then I'll speak as a separate thing, but each person will get to introduce themselves. But of course, it'll go through this whole transition phase. But the whole idea is, we've got scientists and we've got great teachers like Curt who have got brilliant ideas, and Diane, we've got brilliant things that need to be shared. And if we're doing this in video and we're posting it online, we create a whole marketing strategy to get it to the people of the world, then we'll have the most impact in the shortest period of time. And opportunities like this, where we just had this coronavirus, is a fabulous opportunity for people to suddenly wake up and realize everything they depend on is not necessarily permanent. And civilizations rise and fall. And I keep on saying that. But, oh yeah, civilized ancient Rome, whatever. There's no context, as people don't really get it until something like this happens, and they're like, oh my gosh, if this civilization's gone tomorrow, we're in the desert. There's no food and there's no water, and our whole continent really is huge fields of sugarcane and grain or whatever. So all of a sudden there's a desert everywhere. How are we going to survive? We more than likely won't survive. And it's because we've allowed ourselves to become so dependent on a system that is going to collapse. Pyramid schemes rise and rise and get bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually they reach this point where they can't take any more and they collapse. And that's going to happen. And we need to tell the people before it happens, just like Easter Island. They had this great forest and food and everything. Their population grew, their religion started to increase. They built all of these things they worshipped on the island, this big stone men. And then all of a sudden the ecosystem collapsed, and overnight they were gone. Now we as humans, you can see in my website, I've got this polar bear hanging onto a piece of ice, and literally that's where we're heading, but we're heading there very, very quickly. And there's so many reasons. We've got global warming, which is almost totally a runaway thing now, and we have ways in which we can bring it back, but it takes a total commitment of the whole of humanity. But we need to speak to humanity. How are we going to do that? It has to be video, and it has to get to the people of the world. Then you get great teachers like your friend who's doing this agriculture and things. And there's so many great teachers around the world. We need their information to reach the people of the world. So it's through communication and raising knowledge and wisdom and skills of humanity in a totally different direction to which the one we've been heading, and bringing them back into alignment with health and with happiness and with a sustainable way of life. And if we don't do that, we all are done for. And of course, right now, extinction rate is off the charts. It's the highest extinction rate since the dinosaurs, and it's accelerating. It's horrifying to see the biological life forms on this planet, like living and expanding and spreading out. And now it's just like, there's just a few species left trying to survive, and humans are one of those. And that won't last long. So everything that we do matters. Every thought we have, every value and belief and everything, they are so, so, so critically important. But we need change, and we need it now.
I agree. Change is inevitable. It's needed, the way of thought, the way of thinking. We have the smarts and the technology. We have it all available. Why aren't we using it? Definitely, definitely.
The critically interesting thing there is, I was talking to Neil the other day. When he first spoke to me, he was of the opinion that we need to wipe the majority of humans off the planet to be able to survive. And that is one technique, but why don't we take our problem, which is this huge growing population, and let's turn it into the greatest solution that ever happened. If we could get all of those human hands and minds all focused on growing and nurturing and creating a sustainable future, we can do that in a very short period of time and bring back those tipping points and eventually reclaim life and our world. But if we're going to kill all those humans, we've thrown away our potential. It's like, no, let's have a positive solution. And it's like, yes, we have this technology that's being used to grade and destroy mountains and dig huge holes in the earth. If we took that equipment and we literally went out into desert and semi-desert regions, and we started to grade and put gabions in valleys and ditches and where there's huge soil erosion, and create gabions on contour, just wire bags filled with rocks. And what we can do is slow the flow. When it does rain in these semi-desert regions, it does rain quite a lot, relatively speaking, but it runs off and washes away the sand and topsoil at such an incredible rate. If we slow that down, sedimentation happens. The sand and the soil drops out around these gabions, and then that builds up sand and soil and stones and everything, and we plant that. And all of a sudden, we end up with regreening huge deserts and hugely eroded regions and so on, and life just comes back, starts to inhabit that region, and we then are becoming the curators, really, or the life-generating human beings that we're supposed to be, spreading the seeds and creating opportunities for life around the planet. If we do these things and we basically move out of the cities and return to the land and start to create these sustainable systems, we now have decentralized the need for water. We create local swales and catchment dams, just like in permaculture. Gives us water security, and then we grow our sustainable food forests through succession planting. We end up with these sustainable living systems, which has got abundant food. It can withstand wars and people coming and going because it's all different levels of life, and fruiting plants fruit at different times and so on. So somebody migrating through and taking what you've got won't have taken everything, because there will always be more in the next season or next month or so, and you possibly survive that. So the whole idea is abundant food source, water security, food security, and decentralized communities of well-informed people, and that creates a wealth in living systems and in water control systems. Our biggest problem is we're centralized wealth and power, and we've given it all away to very few people who now control that wealth and power, and it's done at our expense. The only way to re-empower the people is to regenerate living systems around them and give them water and food security and land security, of course. And then we live in a different world. And that can happen very, very quickly. It's just a matter of having the political desire. It's a matter of the people knowing the truth. Because once the people know the truth, that they're in big trouble what they're doing now, they'll start making these necessary choices to change their lives. And then they'll learn this transition, because it is something you have to learn. How to get from here to here is a system, a teaching system. You have to take the abstract money of the past and turn it into living systems now. And that's a process. People need to know ways in which that can be done. And I have this wealth of knowledge in my head that I can show people how to get across the bridge from where we are here to where we need to be, and how to survive. So I'm literally reaching out, I'm offering my hand, and I'm saying, listen, let me help you across this unknown times. Let me show you the transition. Let me help you get here. But then, of course, I need everyone else's help or desire to come across the bridge. Because if they don't come across the bridge, then, can't help you. Or they're not willing to try and come across the bridge, I can't help them.
On that, Denis, we all are aware of the extremely well-funded and dangerous forces that are in the world, pushing a wholly different agenda. Just the response to what's happening now with the virus very few conversations about what you're talking about. You know, you don't see any of the world leaders saying, plant the garden, we'll send you seeds, we'll help you get through this in a new way so that we don't have to deal with this in the future. I mean, it's nice that they have cottage industries now making masks and alcohol creating companies, not selling liquor, but repurposing it into hand sanitizers. So there's some of that movement going along. And you know that we live in a very authoritarian, autocratic world now that's becoming even more so the past few years. And, you know, with the weaponization on various levels, with filling our sky with things that send harmful signals to us, you know, we can go on and on. So I fully agree with you. We need to shift the concept, the mindset of people that there is another way. And there have been people all throughout history that have been looking to do this. And I've been writing different lyrics to John Lennon's Imagine recently. And there's a global thought that went around the world many times and still exists. Just imagine if, just to get people to think outside of the little box that they think that they're held in. So I get that's part of what we're doing as well. And to approach it from as many different directions as possible, from mindset, from actual living habits, from community organizations, whatever we can think of to help people. And the metaphor is not lost on me, to cross the bridge that's behind you in your graphic. Yeah, so for some people, it's an impossible distance. They can't even imagine it. And we get to continue to reinstill that possibility that it is, and you don't have to stay stuck with where you are. Oh, I get that's why we're here, and I appreciate it.
I like your comment there, Curt.
I love that. I love that. You know, the concept of using music, acting, writing, you know, just all of those different other mediums are wonderful mediums to send a message. First of all, we need to open the door with those mediums, and then we need to sort of like literally there's a door or a gate on the other side of the bridge. So that's the key to actually getting people, like comedy. Oh, it's brilliant. And get people to open the gate and like, oh, all I have to do is learn this stuff and I'll end up coming, okay, sure, let's do that. But it really is these, I mean, if you want to sing and play the guitar or do your drumming thing and it's got some great message, let's do it. Let's create a video and put it online.
Well, we're seeing some incredible stuff on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, just such creative responses and mindsets to what's happening. Certainly the humor, thank goodness people can find that to stimulate their creativity. It's wonderful stuff. I just want to leave with one thought on this same vein, though. I wrote it, I was thinking about it earlier today, and then I wrote it down as we were in conversation. And just imagine that a single little organism known as a virus can change the habits of civilization so quickly as it has in the past couple of months. Imagine what a human being with the right mindset can do. So, you know, it's not impossible. We've shifted the world and the flow of the world, for good or for bad, in reaction to something that we can't even see. There is possibility. And we can come out of this a whole different civilization than we are now.
Well, let's try and use this situation. There's Facebook Live and that sort of thing. Maybe we sort of just organize a Facebook Live and we just talk about this stuff and just put it out.
Just keep doing it however we can do it. Yeah.
However
all of us have multiple outlets from the organizations and Neil Sprouts. And, you know, there's just so many different ways that we can just continue to have the message. And I think this group, among the thousands of other groups I'm going to say are out there, is keeping that alive. Keep the momentum, keep the support, keep the motivation alive in those of us that have that, so that we can continue to spread it. Like a virus, it's just an idea. You can't even see this either, right? But it's an idea that gets to grow as quickly as the virus has.
Wonderful.
Okay, enough of my metaphors, but they're fun to me.
No, that's awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Austin?
Yeah.
It was really fun. I really liked when you were talking about the bridge. to get across. You can't really push them
No?
through the bridge or the door. You're like, here it is. I can show you. I can describe it in a picture for you. But until you walk through it yourself, I can't offer much.
Exactly.
You gotta develop that trust.
That's it. It's that critical choice. Do you want a happy, healthy, sustainable future? Do you want that possibility? We can show you how to get there. But you've got to choose it. And then you've got to be willing to go there. And at stages, it's a bumpy road. It's like, oh, but I've believed that this is true my whole life. And sorry, but it wasn't true. And you've been lied to. And now you've got to deal with that. You go to bed that night, you have nightmares. It's not easy. I understand. I've been there. Sometimes it takes, as I say, many sleeps to sort of get your brain reorganized,
Yep.
Okay,
gentlemen, it's been a pleasure
myself
meeting you, Austin, and continuing.
Nice to meet you. I hope to connect.
Thank you so much. Take it easy.